In this episode, you'll get a breakdown of the quote, wisdom can ultimately be reduced to the simple process of avoiding that which makes you go weak, and why removing the unpleasant keeps your life dynamic and joyous. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. Here's 3 things that you'll discover today. Number 1, why attraction is achieved through subtraction. Number 2, how seeking more confirms the prison of ambition. And number 3, the necessary subtraction of non-serving parts of yourself. Okay, when we look at this quote, it's really taking the bigger picture into account and kind of looking practically at the nature of thought itself. When you seek and you kind of ask, what does that mean? What is the action of asking implying? It's tricky, but it's implying that you do not have. Else, why ask? So, in that level of perception, you also sort of realize that you are wise when you get rid of the things that make you dumb. It sounds kind of like, what does he mean? But if you really, honestly, take a list of what you do in your life and you don't obsess over analyzing, but if you take a snapshot, and in that snapshot, you get like 1, 2, 3 seconds to comprehend the feeling, which is your gut, your intuition communicating a lot of information to you simultaneously. When you make that list and you trust your gut feeling, give it a few seconds, you'll understand your relationship to the things that make you weak. And then you really start to see, man, if I take this thing out of my life, if I take X, Y, and Z out of my life, I'm left with just a lot of great stuff. I'm left feeling wonderful, sharp, confident, and just ready to rock and roll. So there is that dance where sometimes you're pulled or you have this weird, not you, but humans have this tendency to be attracted to something which I'll label pleasure. Pleasure comes in many shapes, sizes, and forms, but pleasure in itself is kind of like earning dopamine, doing like splitting wood, building a cabin, working a physical job that is hard, but you build something or you're just providing a service. Bottom line is you're doing an action which is meaningful. You earn your dopamine versus shallow pleasure, easy dopamine. If you just look at life in that sort of lens, you don't always need to. Actually, a very important point. Now, I know I'm ranting, but a very important point is you use the lens, but you cannot get attached to any certain way of perceiving the world, whether it be the structure of vibrations or what I'm just talking about right now. You got to be able to be dynamic and consider, like, hey, not everyone's ready to speak in this real manner about the things that actually matter most. So when we go back to that core quote, well, that is what wisdom is. Wisdom is understanding. Wisdom is compassion. So part of it is understanding, like, hey, this is your path. If you're meant to be intelligent, connected, and just ever expanding, hey, that's your path. And that's why I kind of distill this message into a format where I know it's inevitably going to reach the right people because the targeting is there. And I'm not going to go and say this to people who I can already feel in my intuition, in my snapshot, in my gut, that, hey, they're not a match or they're not ready or something of that nature, right? So that's part of wisdom. And like, I guess the last tidbit that I would add in relationship to this quote initially is that you can't seek wisdom. The part of you seeking wisdom needs to be subtracted. And when we bring in that concept of the law of subtraction, you just start to see I'm not saying minimalism is the only path. And you definitely don't have to be a minimalist to grasp the subtraction of consciousness itself. You can have plenty of things, but probably as you walk your path, you're going to see that the more things you have, it does take up space in your psyche. So it's like this walking on a tightrope. You can have material things, but the more unnecessary things you have, the less wisdom you're going to have. And when I say that, I mean you need space and freedom to be wise. And if you're constantly always rushing around maintaining things, then hey, you don't really have as much space. Now, in the same sense, maintenance is a priceless skill, and you should and will need to have plenty of things. My point here, the distillation, is to have that which is worthwhile and meaningful, and to not lose yourself in a luxurious embezzlement of easy false dopamine. I'm still saying, hey, you can have luxury, but too much luxury and see what happens. Like, you can almost understand that if you've worked hard at all in your life. There's something priceless about working hard. And that's really my main point. So it's a balance. You definitely can have wealth and have plenty of items, but you just gotta have that balance intact. And that's kind of why I had to rant. So if we hop into point number one, why attraction is achieved through subtraction, it when you subtract, it creates an essence, a vibration of abundance because you are showing the world through your energy and your relationship to the source that you know you have and you are all that you ever will need. You in your heart doing the work day in and day out to have a clean, free, bright effect on this world, not for a selfish gain, not for any one reason, but because you just see that that is what you are. You are full of light. And it takes a lot to realize that. The essence, the message is undeniable when you keep walking that path. And you do it through a simplification. That simplification is just whether someone can consciously understand why they're attracted. That doesn't matter. And also, when I use the word attraction, please don't confuse this to be in this perverted, intimate sense. I mean, as in how a bee and a butterfly finds the flowers, right? And pollinates. That form of very natural attraction. It's kind of, it's just already written into the world, right? That's what I'm really talking about here, is the subtraction of the unnecessary within your psyche, within your life, within your action, leads to you just being fully who you're meant to be, a vital, invigorated, alive, flourishing. And it is that dance. It's not always easy, but at the same time, you can feel and learn through simplifying your life. So take it for what it is. You know, you got to feel each day, each moment. You're going to walk yourself into the wrong roads. And, something powerful is to realize, okay, if I'm going the wrong way, I'm going to be honest about that. And I can turn around rather than lying to yourself and kind of forcing the wrong way. You realize, hey, I can turn around. Now, point number two, how seeking more confirms the prison of ambition. And this really it flows well from point number one. Um, Not being obsessed with seeking more implies that you are abundant, and that abundance is attractive. It's kind of like you subtract the things that you don't need, and then you stop radiating an essence of not having, and then you, since you are walking with a strength, a confidence, a abundance internally, you begin to set yourself up through this magnificent, what many people would call luck, where you find yourself ready for the opportunities the moment they arise. That it's no coincidence, it's a process of the unseen working as you have changed. The funny part about all of this is you don't even control the change. And when I say that, I'm speaking on a very deep level. As in, yeah, you definitely make a choice every day, right? Are you going to work out? Are you not going to work out? Are you going to sleep in, not sleep in? What are the foods that you're eating? What are the actions that you're doing? What are the things you say yes to? What are the things you say no to? You get my point. Every day it seems very likely that you're making all these decisions, but what I mean here in this specific instance is that things really seem to be pre written, and you have to surrender in this sense. It takes a long time to realize, hey, force, 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 force. And you get to a point, I have to surrender. When you surrender and stop seeking, that's when you realize, oh man, I'm closer than I've ever been to getting the things that I always desired. Once I realized that, it's not a matter of if, just when you stop desiring it doesn't mean you stop working for it. It means that you let go of the initial weaker drive. And you now have a drive which can expand. And very frequently, you'll be on the right path, but just have kind of moments, right? Really smooth moments, and then really hard phases or moments. And that's how life works. Right? If you could just kind of click the elevator button to the top of a mountain to see the view, it's not the same as hiking a mountain. Yeah. So that's kind of why I know sometimes what I'm saying, it's like maybe contradictory, maybe hard to follow how I got to that point. But if you really consider the big picture, you wouldn't want my communication to be so like a PhD with a table of contents, etc., etc. Like I'll write some books. I'm actually working on I'm excited. That's why I'm mentioning it. But right now I'm working on the sales page and I'm launching a nice book. It's going to be really, really fantastic to get that into your hands. It's like one of the biggest projects I've ever done. So, besides that, let's hop back into point number three, the necessary subtraction of non serving parts of yourself. This is like the full circle. As you realize, wait, okay, life seems to work in this interesting way where if I really want something, I don't get it. One of the quotes that I love is I want never gets. Why? Because what is implied, we already went over this, you imply that you don't have when you say you want. And it is that level, that's the way that the big picture works. That's the way that the universe was created. That form of, how do I put it? Maybe like a jester, like a jokester. It's this sense of, hey, if you really think forcing your way is going to get you, no, you have to be smarter, wiser, more and connected to the rhythm than brute forcing your way through life. Part of life is being strong, but in strength, you may have to bend. If you can't bend, then you break way easier. But sometimes you can bend and not break, and if you had not been able to bend, then hey, it would have been broken. Interesting. Now, ultimately, in yourself, you learn how to bend. That's like the benefit and also the pathway to subtracting the non-serving parts is, oh yeah, I have been too attached to a certain point. That's not serving me. It's causing me problems in my relationships. I somehow need to learn how to let go of that rigid standpoint which I was attached to. You start to have those forms of conversations or interactions within your psyche. And you see, wait, I can't continue to perpetuate that form of friction out there. It's not powerful. It's not beneficial to me or others. It's quite petty. And to be honest, I mean, if the Bible has any truth in it, and we say, treat thy neighbor as thyself, then maybe I don't need to put that energy out into the world anymore, right? You see that and you pause, sit with that, and you realize, yeah, this is fascinating the way that you can discern and you can choose, you can realize, I'm done acting that way. I'm done operating from that vibration. And the only way you can do this is you had to have operated from a lower frequency. There's no way that you can change without feeling what you're changing through or from. And that's part of the journey. It's part of the big picture. So that means you have to have compassion. You have to have compassion for the people who remind you of your younger self. And you have to be a leader, right? Use that as a form of, oh man, I actually do have a responsibility. If to me sometimes things seem so simple and they're not actually that simple, then have some compassion, some patience. Be a leader. Be someone who actually others can learn through watching and being around. So the recap, number one, why attraction is achieved through subtraction. Well, the law of subtraction states that the only way to attract a beautiful life is to subtract what keeps your life stale, ugly, and unpleasant. This is the counterpoint to the idea that you attract through the law of attraction. Point number two, how seeking more confirms the prison of ambition. The desire for more money, more goals, more achievements confirms the prison of ambition. This desire leads to a cyclical style of motion that is predictable and based on. Number three, the necessary subtraction of serving parts of yourself. When you go through what scares you most, that is one of the quickest ways to subtract parts of you that are not serving. This commitment to unraveling the illusion of who you think you are creates freedom. So, big picture message, the change you seek comes from letting go of the resistance born through the idea of your identity. Make your practical, grounded lifestyle simple, joyous, and powerful through the essence of sustainable intensity. I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. New episodes will be out Monday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And I mentioned it. I'm writing the book. Keep your eyes peeled. That will be in the description soon. That's what I got.